What's going on YouTube? Das Lamas here, back with Ruby the Rubicon. So we're going to do our next round of mods here. If you guys have been following the channel, we've done a full Metal Cloak 2.5 Game Changer lift. We've done fuel wheels. We've done Milestar Patagonia 35-inch tires. There's a bunch of things that we've done. The Metal Cloak tire carrier, the backup camera relocation, the winch, all that sort of stuff. But today we're going to do our fenders. So I initially ordered fenders for the Jeep because I thought I was going to need the extra clearance for tucking these 35-inch tires up inside the fenders. Come to find out, these stock fenders, they tuck in there just fine. Just really mild rubbing, but I don't know. The stock fenders look alright, but I wanted more of a flat fender look, and I wanted a mid-width fender. So I ended up going with a company by the name of KBD. There's a lot of different philosophies on fenders. A lot of people, they say steel fenders, that way if you bump something, you know, they don't break or pop off or anything like that. Other people say steel fenders are bad because if you bump a tree, you're going to bend the body panels on the Jeep. So I went with these KBD fenders. So let's take a look at these things. So the KBD fenders are a polyurethane. They are a plastic. So I did go with that philosophy. You can install them unpainted or painted. This is how they arrived, unpainted, and it's kind of got a satin, almost gloss finish to it. I mean, it's going on a Jeep, so it doesn't need to be perfect, but you can take these to a paint shop and then have them prep it and paint it. Or you can scuff them up and paint them yourself, but we're going to go ahead and put them on unpainted. Now, this plastic, I mean, that's pretty hefty. That's pretty thick plastic. One of the things that really sold me on these KBD fenders is in one of their demo videos, they mounted them on the Jeep and then they started beating them with a hammer, and they didn't get damaged at all. So they didn't break off, it didn't scuff them, didn't break them. So I was really impressed with these KBD fenders. So typically, lighting's bad there. So typically, KBD, when they ship their products, they ship them in a flat package. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to set them in the sun, and then as they warm up, they kind of reform back to the size that, or the shape that they're supposed to be. These ones actually came in a large box, and they came just already the shape that they needed to be. It's pretty cold right now. It's like 40 degrees. I put them out in the sun just so they were a little bit more flexible in case there needed to be any sort of flexing or anything when you put it on the Jeep. Everything that I've read so far has actually said that these things match right up to the holes and everything like that. So I don't foresee any problems. But let's take another look in the comparison of the KBD fenders to the stock fenders, just so we can get an idea about the difference in size. So looking at the front fender here, there's the factory one, here's the KBD fender, and I know it's not going to be the best comparison because I'm just pressing it up against the body of the Jeep, but you can see that it does make the fender about half as wide. Towards the front, it's actually going to taper in instead of having this big old open spot here. So there is a significant difference on the front fenders. Looking at the rear fender here, I was really concerned because, I mean, that rear fender doesn't come out very far, and I was wondering half width on the rear fender, how that would look. So when these things actually showed up, again, sorry, that's about as best I can do, but you can see they're about the same width as the factory fenders in the rear. The big thing is the factory fender has a lip that comes down on the side, whereas the KBD does not. Now, one of the other really cool things about this KBD fender, instead of just like cutting your factory fenders, is the edge of this fender is actually rolled. So it actually gives a little more sturdier look of the fender with that rolled edge, and it actually gives it a little bit more stability. So I mean, I'm shaking it right now, and it's not flapping around like it's flimsy plastic or anything like that. But I got this this setup right here. Black Friday sale is a little under a little under $300 with shipping. I did get this kit with the LED side marker kit too, so I got 2 amber LED side markers to replace the factory side markers here. So that's just kind of a brief overview of these KBD Fenders. Let's start the install here. So starting with the front passenger side, front of the Jeeps here, we are going to remove 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 is up inside this hole. 5 10mm bolts. After removing the 5 bolts, we're going to have to unplug the side marker light, which the wire is right there, easily accessed. And just so you guys can see it better here, there is a little plastic tab right there that you have to press on. Little plastic tab right there at the top you have to press on. So it's actually in there like this, so that tab is actually on the back side. Press that and it pulls right out. Okay, in addition to unplugging this, you'll see right up here there is a plastic zip tie body rivet piece, pair of pliers to pull that off. That's what attaches it to the fender itself. So you'll want to pull that off and then you can clear the line from the fender. At this point, once you've removed the 5 bolts and disconnected the side marker light, it's a matter of pulling the fender off. It is held on by plastic tabs on the inside, so you're going to pop those. Alright, I did forget to mention, in addition to those 5 bolts, there's one more right here that you can unscrew and comes off. And what that does is that releases the fender liner. I'll set our pieces down here. And when that fender liner is released, you can take the whole fender off. Now, I didn't order new fender liners yet because I didn't know if it was possible to reuse the plastic ones. If not, I'll probably just order some metal ones to replace the fenders that are, or the liners that are on there right now. So when you were taking the fender off, there was like loud popping and everything like that. That's these plastic mounting pieces. These are the factory mounting fender pieces. Some of them will have already popped out. Some of them will stay. Just use a flathead screwdriver and pop those out. Those will not be reused. So what you're doing when you're pulling these out, you'll see that it has these tabs. You're trying to push them in with your flathead screwdriver. I actually ended up needing those pliers, and then I just pinched them from the backside, from underneath, from the backside, and I was able to pull them out. So flathead screwdriver or nail nose pliers, you're gonna pinch these tabs in. There should be one on both sides. One of them broke off on this, but you'll pinch those in and those will pull right out. So the kit that I ordered, I actually got the side marker light, which is right there. So on the back side of the front fenders, you can see there's a little divot right there. There's one on the other side. So basically, you're just gonna drill that out to fit that side marker light. So I have a couple of stepper bits, and we'll drill them out so that can fit. Alrighty, so I've drilled these out to 3/4 inch. I've already put in 1. So the secret to getting this light in there without struggling is you actually pull this rubber grommet off. And once you have that rubber grommet off, it's really easy to put this this grommet into this hole. Much easier when you have 2 hands, but there you go. So the rubber grommet's in the hole. Now you can just take this light and feed the wires through. Like so, and then you can just push the light back into the grommet. That way it sits. Alright? And so that's the easiest way to get those lights installed. So don't try to shove the grommet in while the light's still in it, because you'll just end up smashing the grommet. But there you go, that's how you get the side marker lights in. So the kit does come with a bunch of these little plastic screw anchors. We're going to use 8 of them for the front, and they go into the factory holes. So they will go into all these ones. If you notice, there are 9 holes because there's an extra one here. We are skipping this one. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'll pop those in real quick. Basically, take these, put them in the hole, and then you're going to just press them through to get them anchored. So these do take a little bit of enticing to set. So I'm actually using a piece of wood, holding the piece of wood against it, taking a hammer, and just tapping the back of the piece of wood while I'm holding the fender here, because if you don't support it, you can risk just bending this body panel. But I am just holding it together and then tapping with the hammer just to entice these in. Okay, so you get those in. You know, my thumbs are tired from pressing that in. You can't really hit it too hard with the hammer, so ended up pushing a lot of those in too. Get yourself 8 screws and the washers. That way you can screw the fender on there. We'll get the fender mounted up and screw these in with the Phillips. We still need to wire the lights, which I will do in a little bit. I have plenty of slack of wire on the lights here. We'll end up having to cut this fitting off and then splicing the wires together. Or if you're fancy, you can cut the connector off of the light off of the factory fender and just make it a quick connect, quick release connection. You know, however you choose there. That's kind of builder's choice, but I'll just splice the wires together. So let's get this lined up and get these screws in. So what I did is I went and I put each screw, and I just started each screw. I didn't fasten them all down. I started each screw just to make sure I could line everything up. Now that I got all the screws set on each plastic nylon body mount, I'll get those cinched down tight. So now that we got those all screwed in tight, last thing that needs to be done is the wiring. But let's just get to take a look at this here. Actually, I think that looks pretty good. Let's take a look at this in comparison to the factory one. Factory one's really wide up front here. I think it looks pretty good. I do have one thing right now, and you know, we'll see how it looks once it settles out, park it in the sun a little bit. But this little plastic piece that comes down right here doesn't sit quite flush. So I don't know, maybe I'll get another screw and drill a new hole in the body and just screw it in right there. I'll see if it makes noise while we're going, but I'll hammer out the other side real quick and then we'll get to the back. I didn't film this step, but when you take off the factory one, clean out the body before you put on the new one. Clean the body off so you don't have a bunch of mud sticking on there. You can see that I cleaned it off right there, but yeah, make sure you clean it off before you put the new fender on there. So I've got the driver's side on, and just like the passenger side, a little loose right there. It's not as bad. All right, so front's done. Time to go to the rear. Interesting fact, here's the paperwork that came with the fender flares. Here's the unboxing. Some of them have to be left in the sun, which I kind of talked about before. Here's the how to paint. So instructions on how to paint. Great, you know, blank on the back. Right here, the 4-piece polyurethane fender kit, right? Has all the stuff. Here's all the instructions that we kind of went through to install the front ones. And then it says repeat procedures 1 through 6 for the opposite side. And congratulations, you've completed it. What about the rear? Alrighty, so let's just get the rears uninstalled and get them installed. It's a fairly similar procedure like the front. I'll show you where the screws are that are in the back. We got to set the nylon fender mounts and then screw them in just like the front, but we'll do that to the rear. So I'll cover those steps for you here. Okay, so here we are at the rear. We just got these body plastic Christmas tree pins. So 1, 2, 3 right there. And we got one sitting right there. and then one sitting right there. So we'll pop those off, and then we can just grab this fender and then pull it off. So this one's not held on with the bolts like the front is. So I'll get those pulled off real quick, and then we'll pull this fender off. So I thought I was filming when I was ripping these off, and I've already ripped off both sides. But similar to the front, you just grab the fender and then pull it off. I did the same back here. Once you pop those body rivets, the body retainer clips, you're just gonna grab the front end here and just give it a nice little tug, and it's gonna pop off. Some of these retainer clips are gonna stay in, some of them are gonna pull out. The inner fender liner comes out with the fender when you pull it out. So here you are, the fenders are out, and there's those retainer pit clips that popped out with it. So sorry about that. I thought I was filming. I actually just took a photo of the side of the Jeep. Alrighty, so all these holes right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need to put those nylon body clips in there. Alright, just like the front, I'm putting in the screws but not tightening them down all the way. You'll notice these back ones are like buried underneath the fender. And then the other side is buried as well. I suggest doing these ones first and going ahead and tightening those down. That way you have room to flex it out. I've had the fenders sitting out in the sun over there, so they are pliable. So definitely have your fender warm so you can push this off to the side to get to that screw. Otherwise, you can see there's not very much room. I mean, I can't even get my finger in there. So yeah, when I first put this on, it was pliable from sitting out in the sun, and that's how I got those on. So just like the front, we're gonna set all the screws in, and then we'll tighten them down. Alrighty, we got the rears installed now. I'm gonna remove this plastic corner piece. This is a steel bumper. So this is a Rubicon hard rock. So that's why we ended up having a steel bumper. Not sure if the non-hard rock editions have this plastic piece, but I will take that off. But there you go. The rear fenders, they stick out about the same width as the factory ones, but they don't have that lip that hangs down. So there you go. Shot right there of the rears and the front. I need to order a fender liner kit. I don't think I want to chop apart the factory plastic one and put it in there. I'm actually going to order an aluminum one and get that put in there. But there you go. There's the KBD fender liner kits, front and rear installed. Fit on it is about 90%. You know, there's a couple holes that didn't quite line up. There's those little parts that are a little loose hanging out, and then you know, the gaps and whatnot. I don't know if that's an intended design, but honestly, it fits well enough to where I'm not concerned about it, especially for the price point that this comes from. Totally worth it. KBD, you guys get a thumbs up from me. I got to finish wiring the LEDs you see right there, but KBD, thumbs up from me. Even through the holidays, you guys had excellent shipping time. The pricing is super reasonable on this. So if you guys are looking for a polyurethane fender, that's what I'm talking about right there. It's a little loose right here, so it vibrates on the body. But if you're looking for a polyurethane fender that's going to take up some abuse, I definitely recommend this KBD stuff, because what really sold me on it is they were whacking this with a hammer. I mean, I'm beating on that right there, and it's durable. Anyways, we'll catch you guys on the next video. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Alrighty, just a pointer when you're wiring this up. Since it's an LED, it does matter for polarity. So from the LED, the white goes to the factory black, and the black goes to the factory white. Or maybe that's a green. It's kind of hard to tell. It's dirty, but there you go. That is the correct wiring to get these LEDs to work. If you wire them backwards, the lights will not turn on.